Today, we are talking about two things that need to be said clearly, without apologizing and without hedging. First, anti-Zionism is racism, not metaphorically, not a rhetorical trick. Actually, definitionally, racism. Second, the two-state solution is a dream. But it's only one side's dream. Jews have said yes every single time. Arabs have said no every single time. Shalom, I'm Igal and this is Middle East in less than 5 minutes. Let's break both of these down. Part 1. Anti-Zionism is racism. Let's start with a simple question. What is Zionism? Zionism is a belief that the Jewish people have the right to self-determination in their ancestral homeland. That's it. That's the definition. No conquests, no supremacy, no colonialism, self-determination. The same principle that applies to Palestinians, to Kurds, to Tibetans, to indigenous people everywhere. The right of a people to govern themselves in the land where they come from. Now let's flip it. What's anti-Zionism? Anti-Zionism is a belief that Jews, alone among all the peoples of the world, do not have that right. That every other group can have self-determination. Every other group can have a state, but not Jews. Palestinians deserve a state. Kurds deserve a state. Tibetans deserve a state. Jews? No, they don't get one. That's not politics. That's not criticism of Israeli policy. That's singling out one people and one people only for denial of a fundamental right. That is racism, by definition. The double standard test. Let's apply the double standard test. There are 57 Muslim majority countries in the world. Many of them are explicitly Islamic states. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan. No one calls for their dismantlement. No one says Muslims don't deserve states. There are dozens of Christian majority countries, some with Christianity embedded in their constitutions. No one questions their right to exist. There are ethnic nation states everywhere. Japan for the Japanese, Poland for the Poles, Armenia for the Armenians. All of them are considered legitimate. But one Jewish state? That's too much. That's apartheid. That's colonialism. That must be dismantled. Why? Why is the only Jewish state in the world the one that doesn't deserve to exist? There's only one answer. Because it's Jewish. That's antisemitism, dressed up in progressive language, but antisemitism nonetheless. What dismantling Israel actually means. Now let's talk about what anti-Zionists are actually calling for. When they say dismantle Israel, when they chant from the river to the sea, what do they mean? They mean eliminate the state, remove Jewish sovereignty, and Jewish self-determination. Okay, and then what? What happens to the 7 million Jews living in Israel? Where do they go? Back to Europe? Half of them aren't from Europe. They're Mizrahi Jews from the Middle East and North Africa. They were ethnically cleansed from Arab countries in the 40s and 90s. There's nowhere for them to go back to. And the ones from Europe? You mean the same Europe that murdered 6 million of them 80 years ago? That's the safe haven? So if they can't leave, what happens to them? Do they live as equals in a Palestinian majority state? Let's look at the track record. Jews in Gaza after Israel withdrew in 2005? Driven out. Jews in the West Bank under Palestinian control? Zero. None allowed. Jews in every Arab country? Ethnically cleansed. Jews under Hamas? They'd be slaughtered. Jews under the Palestinian Authority? Best case, dhimmi status, second-class citizens under Islamic law. So when anti-Zionists call for dismantling Israel, they are calling for one of the two things: mass expulsion of 7 million Jews or genocide of 7 million Jews. There's no third option. History is very clear on what happens to Jews without sovereignty. Calling for the elimination of the Jewish state is calling for the elimination of the Jewish people living there. That's not activism. That's genocidal intent. Anti-Zionism is the new anti-Semitism. For 2000 years, Jews were told, you don't belong here. Expelled from dozens of countries, pogroms, inquisitions, the Holocaust. Finally, Jews said, fine, we'll go to the one place we do belong, our ancestral homeland. And now they're told you don't belong there either. It's the same hatred, just updated vocabulary. Before it was Jews killed Jesus, Jews poisoned wells, Jews control the banks. Now it's Jews are colonizers, Jews are apartheid, Jews are Nazis. The language changes, the hatred doesn't. And the demand is the same. Jews should not have safety. Jews should not have power. Jews should not have sovereignty. That's what anti-Zionism is. It's the belief that Jews alone should remain stateless, powerless, and vulnerable. And anyone who holds that belief is a racist. Full stop. Part 2. The two-state solution is a one-sided dream. Now, let's talk about the two-state solution. It's treated as the obvious answer, the moderate position, the compromise both sides should accept. Except one side has accepted it, repeatedly, and the other side has rejected it every single fucking time. Every time Jews said yes. Let's go through the history. 1937, Peel Commission. The British proposed partitioning mandatory Palestine into a Jewish state and an Arab state. Jews get 20% of the land, Arabs get 80% of the land. Jewish response? Yes, we'll take it. Arabs respond? No. Riots, violence, rejection. 1947, UN partition plan. The UN proposes two states. Jews get roughly half the land, much of it desert. Arabs get the other half, including the fertile areas. Jewish response? Yes, we accept. Arab response? No. And the next day, 5 Arab armies invade to destroy the Jewish state. 2000, Camp David. Bill Clinton brokers negotiations. Ehud Barak offers Yasser Arafat approximately 95% of the West Bank, all of Gaza, and East Jerusalem as a capital. Arafat's response? No. Walks away. Doesn't even make a counteroffer. Then launches a second intifada, murdering over 1,000 Israelis in buses, cafes, and shopping malls. 2008. Ehud Olmert's offer. Israeli Prime Minister Olmert offers Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas even more than Barak offered. Nearly 100% of the West Bank with land swaps, shared sovereignty over Jerusalem, a corridor connecting Gaza and the West Bank. Abbas' response? Says he needs time to think. Then never responds, just walks away. 2005, Gaza withdrawal. Israel unilaterally withdraws from Gaza. Every soldier, every settler, every inch of territory leaves behind greenhouses, infrastructure, opportunity. What happens? Hamas takes over in 2007, turns it into a terror base, launches thousands of rockets at Israeli cities, and then on October 7, 2023, invades Israel and massacres 1,200 people. That's what Land for Peace produced. Not peace, terror. Every single time, Jews have said yes, and every single time, Arabs have said no. Arafat's Trojan horse. And it's not just that they say no, they never intended to say yes. After signing the Oslo Accords in 1993, Yasser Arafat gave a speech in Johannesburg in 1994. He thought he was speaking to a friendly Arab audience. He said the quiet part out loud. He said Oslo a Trojan horse. He said he was following the example of the Prophet Muhammad's Treaty of Hudaybiyah. a temporary truce that Muhammad broke once he was strong enough to conquer Mecca. That's what Oslo was to Arafat. Not peace, a tactic, a way to gain a foothold, build strength, and eventually destroy Israel. This wasn't a conspiracy theory. He said it, on tape, in his own words. And his actions proved it. Instead of using the territory and autonomy gained from Oslo to build a state, he used it to launch terror attacks. Hamas and Abbas, the proof today. Fast forward to today. What do we see? In Gaza, Hamas openly says it will never accept Israel's existence. Its charter calls for the elimination of the Jewish state. It uses every ceasefire to rearm, rebuild tunnels, and prepare for the next attack. October 7th wasn't an aberration. It was the goal. The massacre wasn't a mistake. It was the plan. In the West Bank, Mahmoud Abbas is now in the 20th year of his 4-year term. He hasn't held elections since 2005 because he knows he'd lose to Hamas. He pays salaries to terrorists. The more Israelis you kill, the higher the payment. He names schools and streets after suicide bombers. And he refuses to negotiate. Israel has repeatedly said, let's sit down, no preconditions, and talk. Abbas refuses unless Israel agrees to all his demands up front. That's not negotiation, that's rejection with extra steps. Why Palestinians reject peace? So why? Why do Palestinians reject every offer? Because accepting a two-state solution means accepting Israel's right to exist, and Palestinian identity is built on rejecting that right. The Palestinian national movement wasn't created to build a Palestinian state. It was created to destroy a Jewish one. The PLO was founded in 1964, before the 1967 war, before the so-called occupation of the West Bank and Gaza. What were they trying to liberate? Israel proper, Tel Aviv, Haifa, Jaffa, all of it. The goal was never a Palestinian state alongside Israel. It was a Palestinian state instead of Israel. And that goal hasn't changed. The tactics have evolved, the language has softened for Western audiences, but the goal is the same. The two-state solution requires two sides. Here's the fundamental problem. A two-state solution requires both sides to want two states. Jews want two states. They've proven it over and over by accepting every partition plan, by offering land for peace, by withdrawing from Gaza. Palestinians don't want two states. They've proven it over and over by rejecting every offer, by launching terror campaigns, by teaching their children that all of Israel is occupied Palestine. You can't have a two-state solution when one side refuses to accept the other state's right to exist. The dream versus the reality. The two-state solution is a dream, but it's not both sides' dream. It's Israel's dream and the West's dream. The West wants it because it fits the liberal framework: compromise, coexistence, peace through mutual recognition. Israel wants it because Israelis are exhausted. They don't want to rule over Palestinians. They want security and to be left alone. But Palestinians don't want it. Their leadership doesn't want it. Their education system doesn't prepare for it. The culture doesn't support it. They want one state, from the river to the sea, a state where Jews are at best a tolerated minority, at worst expelled or exterminated. That's not a fringe view, that's the mainstream. That's what liberation means in Palestinian discourse. What needs to change? For a two-state solution to work, Palestinians need to do something they've never done: accept Jewish sovereignty. Not tolerate it, not agree to a temporary truce. Accept it. Recognize Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. Teach it in schools. Preach it in mosques. Embed it in their national consciousness. Until that happens, the two-state solution is a fantasy, a Western delusion projected onto a conflict where only one side wants it. Anti-Zionism is racism because it denies Jews, and only Jews, the right to self-determination. And it calls for the elimination of the only Jewish state, which means the elimination or ethnic cleansing of 7 million Jews. There's no way around that logic. The two-state solution is a dream, but it's a one-sided dream. Jews have said yes every time. Arabs have said no every time. And until that changes, peace is impossible. Not because of settlements, not because of checkpoints, not because of occupation. Because one side wants peace and the other side wants victory. And you can't compromise with people who want you gone. I'm Miguel, and this was Middle East in less than 5 minutes. Until next time, Shalom.